Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's JamBox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. Guarantee you're going to like it. With that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hey everybody, my name is Edward Bernier.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
So I'm from Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. I am a hip-hop sample-based trap producer, performer, artist, painter, all the things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. It sounds like you wear many hats, including one presently.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what got you into, let's start with the music side of things. What got you into music initially?
So what got me into music was one day my friend Anthony Polson had came over and he brought his computer over and he was like, let's record some music. And I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just down for it. I was just like, all right, let's do it. Garage band,
Ah, the classic.
So yeah, garage band.
No, I dig that. And growing up, was anybody else in your household musical or anybody you knew, or you the first generation of musicians?
Probably the first generation.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, cool. And how about, I guess, as you are a visual artist as well, when did you get into painting initially?
Painting, everybody has their graffiti stories,
Yeah.
Join a graffiti group. But that's kind of where it started. But seriously, painting was about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
My friend, Damon Smith, shout out Damon Smith, amazing artist, kind of showed me the ropes. So from then on, I started taking it seriously.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then for these next couple questions, we have a few foundation ones that we check in with everybody on. This first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
It would probably be Korn.
Okay.
The first album.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
What made you want to buy that?
MTV.
Oh, of course.
MTV showed me the way.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then what was the first live show you ever went to? That was one you wanted to go to.
Right.
So you saw it was happening, got tickets, went to it.
Probably Eminem.
Okay.
Saw Eminem and
hell yeah.
Biscuit in Portland.
Oh, damn.
A long time ago, but yeah.
Was that when Fred Durst got pied at Guitar Center?
It was in Portland?
Yeah, it happened at the Clackamas Guitar Center.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's crazy.
Damn. I wonder if that's when it was. Somebody figure that out in the comments on that one. Or just at Fred. Let's see if we can get him to respond. No, I'm kidding.
Fred.
Hell yeah. And I guess, because I kind of want to keep this, a little bit focused on the visual art as well. What was a big moment that made you want to get more into it as a modern part of what you do now?
I think that I was looking in life for something more to branch off of when it came to music. I was recording music and stuff like that, but something, and my friend Damon, like I said, he was just always drawing and always painting, and it really inspired me. So I just picked up the pencil and started just going harder than I used to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was friendship basically.
No, I take that.
Yeah.
And then circling back to the music before we get into the main portion, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
No, I feel like I'd always wanted to do music, even probably subconsciously, even before Anthony brought over the computer. I always did like karaoke. I had like a little karaoke box.
Oh, gotcha.
Do Korn and Limp Bizkit, and then then hip hop started to kind of get into my life, and yeah, basically.
Oh yeah, I dig that. Well, then let's go ahead and let's dive on into you in the present day.
All right.
And we're gonna get a super easy one out of the way because I feel like it's gonna be super easy.
Mm-hmm.
How did you pick the name?
Man, my parents met, did their thing. No, my father's name is Edward Louis Bernier the Fourth, so he named me the Fifth.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah.
I guess more I'm curious then, how come you chose to stick with your name and not like an artist name?
Right. So I actually did go by the name of Edward, like W-O-R-D.
Okay.
Like, you grow up and you're kind of like, might want to do something else. And I was just like, I like my name, so let's just go with the name.
Wait, was that not taken other words? Because Edward is kind of clever.
It was. I mean, yeah, I don't know. As an artist, I felt like...
Yeah. I'm not saying go back to it. I'm just saying, like, I would be surprised if that one hadn't already been taken.
Right, and I think there was a couple artists that had that.
Yeah.
It was pretty basic.
Yeah, but I mean, Edward Bernier is still... It's definitely individual. And being the fifth one...
Yeah.
Definitely stand out with that alone.
Yeah. I keep the V out, though, well, the Roman numeral. But, my last name's already French as hell, so...
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, people are like, what? Bernier? And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, Bernier. Yeah. Yeah, no, I could dig that for sure. It's always like when people see Mark Ribier.
Yeah.
And they're like, Mark Riblet?
Riblet?
And you're like, no, but thanks for trying. Yeah. No, I dig that though.
And you failed.
Yeah. And then getting into, like I said, we're going to focus on your music for a little bit because this is the format of the show.
Let's get it.
But let's talk about your writing process.
My writing process.
Yeah, and we're gonna break it up into chunks, but we're gonna start right at the beginning.
All right.
So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
So to get a track started would probably be, what am I going to rap on? What am I going to write to? So I'm kind of always... kind of like the beat first. So I usually create the beat first.
Oh, cool. So you make them yourself.
Yeah. I produce all the beats. Not all of them, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so a little bit of marijuana, you know what I'm saying? Gets the weed definitely has a weird thing it does to me where it's like, as soon as I smoke, go start creating. Like I'm just in it, diving deep. And so that's another way I get the creative juices going, and just a good sample.
Yeah, and where do you go about finding your samples? Are you like, do you dive the internet? I
dive deep through the webs and try my best to find stuff that's really hidden. I'm pretty sure that a lot of my samples will never ever be found. I mean, I'm not saying ever, but good luck. Like I'll dig into, Russian Soviet jazz from like 60s, 50s.
Yeah.
Just go to town. I love digging through, the Earth's music catalog from different countries and, different people and just putting that into some music and chopping it up and all that good stuff. It really inspires me.
Yeah. And do you use like a sampler? Do you use a program?
Yeah,
how do you go about chopping those up?
I use Machine 2.0.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Native Instruments and stuff like that. I really love the Machine. That thing.
Machine is a powerful piece of software with a hardware attached to it.
Oh yeah. And it's definitely open. That thing was probably the greatest buy I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Open doors, opportunities. It's been great.
Have you ever considered going to the standalone one, or are you fine with like the computer?
I'm fine with the computer. Okay. Yeah.
I did an MPC 1000 for the longest, and I was like, should I go to the newest one? Like,
right.
Now they have the one with the keys attached to it, and I'm just like, damn. But my 1000 is fully modded. Like every mod you can get from MPC stuff, I have. So I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't do it at this point.
You have to get a whole new, like, yeah.
I would have to be, it's a whole new machine at that point. So I get that for sure. And also, I mean, machine as a software and with its own hardware is like just such a good combination.
Hands on too.
And it's hard to have anything that's smarter than a computer as far as power goes.
Yeah.
You know, why limit yourself if you're not trying to take it everywhere? Like if you're not trying to make beats on the bus.
No, I'm not trying to do all that. I mean, I want to, but I'll chill at home.
Yeah.
Go to town, you know?
No, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then once you get like the beats done and you get the words, do you freestyle or do you write them? How do you
So basically it's kind of simple. I'll make the beat, throw it in a different program, and then I'll just have a repeat bar, just restart that very first line, and then it takes me a while. I'm very particular when it comes to the very first, a lot of artists I'm sure can relate, is the first bars, the first lines have to just
they
absolutely grab them. So it takes me a little bit to come up with something to start off with. But yeah, I'll have that repeater just boom, boom, all right, line, all right, got that line down, push the bar, it restarts there, and just write it out like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely like listening to your sound, you definitely have like a very, like consistent is probably the word I would want to use for it. You have this like very like defined sound, and it sounds like you really put a lot of thought into what you're going to do before you do it.
Absolutely.
And then once you get it all finished writing and things like that, it doesn't have to be released per se, but once it's like written down and you're ready to go from beginning to end, how long does it usually take you to get comfortable performing it?
Oh, so I mean, I like to give myself a good 7 days.
Okay, so about a week.
7 days, yeah, at least. I have, under pressure, had to, the day before, get this song down, and it's scary a little bit, but at the same time, you're just like, whatever. People, you just go out there, have fun. You wrote it, just do your best, and that's all.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's not like if you perform it the one time, especially if it's one that's not even out yet, that people are going to, give you grief if it's not 100% perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got some safe, you're safe.
Yeah. Until it comes out and everybody knows the words as well as you do, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And then I guess, now that we've covered some of the music stuff, more on the visual side of things, because I was checking out your YouTube and I noticed that you do some paintings along to your music, but you also have a really interesting music video for The Accused that you did with Rex Wonders.
Yes.
It's a really artistic video. Like it's very abstract. There's a lot of layers to it, a lot of like movement and changes, like texturally as well as visually.
Yeah.
Did you have a heavy hand in the design of that video, or was that like mostly Rex?
Rex, I wanted to go in like, you're an artist, you're a savage.
Yeah.
Just do your art, but he, was like, it's not exactly like that. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to, get some, what are your favorite numbers, that I can hide in there? What are some just like significant things that what are some bars that you feel are important to you that should have a visual representation of what you're saying? And so I was like, that's awesome,
Yeah. That's really cool. How did you go about finding him then? Because like I said, his style is very artistic. So I was curious, like if that was like your influence or not. But it sounds like it was him. How did you come across him?
So I came across Rex. I'm pretty sure it was through friends, because he actually used to like live out here and he went to school out here. And I'm pretty sure that it was through some friends that I saw his work, and I was like, what the, like, this guy is crazy.
Yeah.
The visuals. Like I have to get a video from this guy. It's amazing. And so, and I was on, I was usually working with Packard Brown, who was amazing videographer as well, who I'd worked with for a while. And before the music video The Accused, I did Masterpiece, which was a song about me like talking about art and paintings and stuff like that, but connecting it with the words. And I was like doing a canvas piece in the video. I actually didn't do that piece during the music video, obviously, but the piece was already done. But so that's kind of, his art drew me to him, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it was cake.
No, totally. And I mean, definitely, it's super solid video. Like, I'm not the biggest music video guy. Like, personally, I've always been more of an audio person than a visual person. And that one I like actually like went back on and was like, oh, this is cool.
And there's some things that you
don't catch it the first time.
Yeah.
Once you go through it a couple times, you're like, yeah, definitely.
Very fun.
If y'all haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out.
Sure.
I mean, after this, obviously. And then one question I had that kind of, I think, might tie the two together. Because, again, I'm not much of a visual artist myself. I've always been more in the realm of audio. But do you have like a different state of mind when it comes to doing visual arts versus music?
So, very good question. There are things that you can pull from music that you can put into visual arts. It sounds crazy, but it's true. With subtle fade of an arm could be like the subtle fade of like an ad lib, and your playground gets larger when you go from painting to music because you can apply these elements from these art, these areas and bring them over. And it's great. Like, not a lot of people know that, because not a lot of people are painter producers, or music performers, but it's definitely there, and it's a crazy world to live in.
Interesting. So like, would you then, I mean, in that same vein, would you apply like the addition of color to being like different moods and tones and approaches?
Absolutely. My first album that I produced was based off of a rainbow, really. And the album was called Lucinda Seeds. It's named after my mother. And the songs were, I looked at them as colors, and so I started off with red, and then it slowly got down to the darks and the blues.
Interesting, and that definitely, I checked out the album as well. One of the tracks that I picked out is from it, and I can see that, like now with that explanation, that makes sense, and that kind of explains the progression of the album really well, because I had noticed it felt not like linear is not the right word, but it felt like the album itself had a progression in addition to each song with its own progression within.
That was a very everything kind of came together, and it was beautiful how it did, because those songs are when I started making beats, those were the first ones I like enjoyed. I'm like, I can put this on an album out of all of them, and it took me about 3 years to even learn. So those first songs are kind of like the beginning of this is my new, because I used to, take YouTube beats when I was younger, but then I had to change that up. So, like Tormented is like the first song, and that was like, this is the first one. I feel like it's like it's official. I'm a producer now, and it was, oh my God. So, and then the skits are kind of like the beginning of who I was, like a little runt rapper who just, I don't like him, I'm better, But as it progresses, it was like the paintings and the songs about paintings kind of like changed my mind on how to approach the music industry and when I network with people, and it's eye-opening how, and then the album basically kind of, I don't want to ruin the end, because the last skit is kind of tells the whole story. But that, it was just a weird thing how it was like the songs were, arrogant dude, rapper, but the skits, the guy in the beginning's kind of like down and out.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he finds like, redemption and what he's been through because of what had happened to him. And so that was a journey, and I loved it, man. Every moment of it. Very
much so. And actually, it's funny, that was the point I was going to bring up. I really appreciated the skits. It's such a dying art.
It is.
Like, like back in the day, it was the
thing.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
Like, it really, and it made an album more conceptualized.
Right.
It gave you,
Together.
It gave you, even if it wasn't quite attached to because, everybody still had their like Monies and Cars songs in there, but like that progression. And I mean, like I've definitely mentioned this on other episodes, but one of the first albums I ever bought was The Carter.
Really?
That was the first album I ever bought with my own money. And he literally, like the opening track and the middle and the end are him visually describing this house.
Right.
And I could still do the entire intro song from memory. And it just like, I can tell you what this house looks like.
Wow.
Because he just went through such visual detail. Now, while it's not technically a skit, it is. It is a skit because he's like almost narrating, but he can't not flow. Like that's just been a part of who he was. So that, and like another one I always point at is the greatest story ever told, the greatest true story by Logic. I always forget the name, even though I've mentioned it multiple times.
It's a
that is like literally some of the most artistic skits I've ever heard, because that was so well designed. They got the voice actor who played Spike from Cowboy Bebop, like, and it like
amazing.
I can see that entire scene all because they made it the album cover.
Absolutely.
Like the guys on the ship, that was all I needed. I was visually able to see all of it. And I think that's something that I think really stood out in your album as well. It's like the skits gave this character a presence and existence, and it made the album kind of move along with that.
Right, exactly. And it was cool because, it ties everything in like a gift basket, I don't want to out. A lot of people are more focused on singles nowadays, and I'm just like, well, I want to do a project. I don't care what anybody says.
I think that you're right. The narrative is like the movement is to do song after song after song, because that's how you get these specific benchmarks, how you get these achievements. Everybody looks at kind of like, Xbox, the little thing at the bottom, pops up, you got another single. You've done 10 singles. But I think that there's still very much a place for albums. There's still very much a space for concepts.
Absolutely.
Like it's just, those aren't the ones that are narrated outwardly. Those are the ones that they're put out, they're appreciated, and they become more appreciated in the future. Like, that's one of the things. It's like
cult classic.
Like even like when somebody finds an album and they're like, oh my God, I love this album. And then they go back and there's 3 more waiting. And they're like, whoa,
there's more.
It only takes a small group of album appreciating people to find it, to get it to other people who appreciate albums.
And it just, dominoes.
And it's fun to make a body of work. I think that's kind of the lost part of it, is like sometimes making a collection of songs for the sake of is more than enough of a reason to do it. And it's like you can't put singles out from it. Personally, I'm a big fan of the people who decide to do singles that have nothing to do with the album, and then put out whole albums.
And then put out a whole album.
Like, that's something that I see a lot less.
Kendrick does it.
But that's my favorite approach. Because it's like, this isn't meant to be on an album. It's meant to be right now.
For this time and moment.
Like, what is it? Coda the Friend does that a lot. He'll put out a lot of tracks that are just like, here, I've been making music. This is like music inspired by my travel. Like, this is like on his tour, he was doing a different like EP for each area that he did. Like, when he came up here, he did like a couple songs that were like from his time in Oregon. It was a really interesting concept. But he also has albums and things like that.
And then you find that you hear that one song because he's feeling it that moment. It's a killer song, and then you find it, and then you check out his body of work, and then you're a fan.
And
that's how you get him. That's beautiful.
So that's, sorry to tangent off on the thoughts on albums for a minute, but and like I said, I was checking out your stuff before I dive into the ones I picked out. Obviously we'll talk about Gold Medal for a second. It's your most recent track that came out in December, and it's a solid track. The horns hit. That had that like anthem energy, but it didn't feel like an anthem song, because you were gassing the whole time.
Thank you.
You just really took off on that.
That one was, oh man, I wanted to come out with something. So this one actually will be a part of the next project. But Gold Medal was produced by my good friend Minivan Jim.
Shout out. Good name.
Minivan Jim.
Shout out Minivan Jim.
Don't ask how I got the beat. No. We were good friends. Middle school. Was it middle school? And he popped into my life and he was like, I produce. I was like, dude, what? Like, let me go through some of your stuff. He's like, hell yeah, man. And so I went through and I was like, this one right here. This one is, I need something like this. I need something like this. And, you're right. It's not really kind of like an anthem. It's like it is like for Portland, but it gets a little.
Well, it's like just those horns. Like dun, 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 like you're supposed to be posturing something.
Absolutely.
But you just kind of took away with it.
I wanted to fight it. I wanted to fight it a little bit, kind of bring this tension from the beat and kind of roll with it. And just see what I could come up with. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like, if I had to pick a track personally, it would be Explain Yourself. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I noticed you did this in a few tracks just throughout your work, but the boondock sounding flutes, just has a special spot in my heart.
Yeah,
like it's like that sound in general just kind of really does it for me.
It tingles the soul, bro.
Yeah,
like it pulls your heartstrings or your soul strings, and it just feels so good.
Yeah, but like also I felt like your flow rode the beat really well. Like it like had this, like it almost had its own like movement within it. It wasn't just like line after line after line after line.
Right.
And the hook had this very like classic feel, but it didn't feel dated. It didn't feel like you were trying to like emulate it sounds like it came off a tape.
Right.
It had this like classic feel in the approach of it, but it felt very like
relevant, new
to the track.
Yeah.
Very today. Yeah.
And that's what I kind of want to, emulate, hats off to the old school, of course. I always want to show love in that regard, but also, bring it to today, and then that could get people to check out the older stuff,
No, totally. Well, that, and I think especially now's time where like we're kind of blending a lot of sounds in general.
We are.
Like the opportunity to bring back old approaches with modern flair is something that I wish got explored more.
Right.
Because they're like, if they had the opportunity to do their sound in today's settings, it would have really, I think it would have escalated it in a lot of different ways. Like there's a reason why that grabbed people back then, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like they didn't have, modern technology for recording. They didn't have the accessibility to like
studios.
They didn't have the like understanding of time and how it progressed and like what would become of it. So like to be able to like lock into that sound now, but still add
have that subtle,
that little spice of it. Yeah, like that I think really goes a long way, and I would like to see more of that in the future.
Absolutely.
That's just me as an optimist.
Yeah, and I want to have those balances between I want to fucking absolutely rip this, and write in-depth lines, even if it is a lot, and then because I want to get better at it, and but also have those songs where I just write it, like where I kind of get absorbed into the beat, and just take your time, I want to do that more so as well. So having that balance.
No, totally. But now that I've shared the tracks that I really enjoyed, I'm curious to know, what are your favorite tracks to perform?
The Accused.
Yeah.
People are already on it as soon as like the first, chorus goes off, then, try to live in harmony, but the whole wide world won't bother me, and people they just eat it up and spit it back, and it's loud. It's really loud because people, the crowd sounds pissed, that's what it was for, every time I perform it, I'm like, you guys ever been accused of something you never even done? And everyone's just like, oh God, and so those are the type of things I want to explore more. A little, I like to go a little more in depth when it comes to writing, and I know everybody says that, and certain things that we miss, that we don't put on music, I want to bring to light a lot more. Yeah,
no, I definitely get that. I mean, I could see that track being just wild.
Yeah.
Wild live. That definitely seems like when people grab onto pretty quick and go.
Right.
And then for this next question, we've zoomed all the way in on your music now, but I'm curious, before we move on to like all the way out, what are some tracks, or what are some of the elements and like descriptive characteristics of new music you're working on that hasn't come out yet?
The characteristics. I still want to do the format of the last album, not necessarily the rainbow chart where it was, kind of wild and then gets slower, darker at the end. This new album, the characteristics that I want to go a little more, I don't want to say radio. It's not, but it's just a dash, a dash of some radio, a dash of some singing as well. Not auto-tune. Just want to clarify that. No, it's okay if you do. I'm just saying. But a little more, and I'm going to be adding, skits as well again. So there's going to be a little more radio friendly, like more than the last album. But also I wanted to get a little darker too. Like I want to just stretch it and see where things are happening. You know, these skits, like how should I line these up? How are they going to tell a story? So I just want to go, you know, harder for, you know, obviously we all want to do a better piece next time. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at, is to just kind of be a little more lax. Like you were saying, a lot of the songs in the first album is a lot fast, a lot of words, and I'm cool with that. But I want to figure out how to do it to where it's more, you know, just conceive. I
get what you're saying.
Better, you know, taken in more.
Like, palatable is not the wrong word, because the other album was palatable.
Right.
It was dissonant or like off-putting.
Right.
But like I feel like you're saying maybe a little bit more melodic, a little more like familiar sounding, something that like can be received by a wider audience.
Right. But also have it to where those songs are going to kind of complement these like even darker ones.
Well, like there's definitely a movement in music right now, especially like and this kind of segues into the next question. Like modern music is definitely moving in both a looser direction in one avenue, right? But like a more like emotionally driven aspect in another avenue. Like, you know, there's like they're kind of introducing a little bit darker tones, a little bit less like a little less happy. Like a little less upbeat, a little less poppy, but still like.
But still fast.
Music. Still musical, melodic. Still, it has like, they're focusing more on the movement of the sounds. And not so much just like, oh, it's good. It's good. And so like that, I think with where that's going in general, you're kind of moving with the pulse anyway.
Right. Like some newer artists that I've been kind of listening to. I mean, not newish, but kind of newish. You know, Don Toliver. I really like Don Toliver. He's amazing. Like, I like his dark, you know, feel. I love The Weeknd. Like, I really enjoy his music. I love his production. I love his writings, you know, the shit he says.
You know, the newest the Future and Metro Boomin album actually really kind of does that well.
Wow.
Like, it's very like, because it's moody is the best way I would describe it, but it's still like, it still pops. Like the first track,
got those pockets in there.
Like the first track on this, I believe it's called "We Still Don't Trust You."
Right,
and it's like it's got this almost dancey feel to it.
Yeah.
But like literally the opening line is something along the lines, "We still don't trust you." Do. Like, and you're just like, oh, okay. Like, this feels like it's up, but it sounds like they're down. But like,
interesting.
The album itself kind of moves that way. And I think a lot more of, like I said, that like brooding in pop.
Yeah. Someone said that The Weeknd made haunted stripper music.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome.
A good way to put it.
Like,
that's a good way to put it for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Also, I got to give credit to The Weeknd for finally moving towards like real synthesizers.
Yeah.
Like, that opened up his sound so much.
Right.
I would love to see, as weird as this is going to sound, I would love to see The Weeknd and Bruno Mars do like an EP together.
Wow.
Like, I think that would just be such an interesting, like, clashing of like Titanist minds. Because like Bruno is, I mean, with what he did with Anderson .Paak for
oh my god,
why can't I remember their I forgot what their group is called.
Yeah.
Man, it's gonna bum me out. Somebody put that in the comments. Make me feel bad afterwards. But like their combination, I think, really kind of brought forth that like they were a lot more like funky and bouncy with it.
Right.
But I feel like Bruno has that element of like musicality in him that I think The Weeknd, especially in a more moody track, I think that would bring out a whole new side that I'd be curious to see.
Yeah, and I'm loving The Weeknd's new work, like Dawn FM. I love the 80s feel. Like, we need that a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I love 80s. I love all music, really, you know? That 80s, though, like,
there was definitely something to be said for the time there, for sure.
They had some, like, sad poppy music, you know? And
well, I mean, there was a lot of like stuff that was meant to be for like soundtracks for like, you know, moodier music or like moodier stuff in general. That kind of carried a lot of it as well.
Like Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears. Like, it's on Donnie Darko, you know? And I'm just like, the song like sounds happy, but it's like got this weird daunting feeling. I'm like, that creates a totally different mood, you know? Like it's almost like haunting and kind of creepy. And I love that. Like, I love that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. And like I was saying before, because I feel like we're going to keep tangenting on this if we don't round it back up. But I am curious to know, if we zoom all the way out and we look at current music that's out, what are some of the attributes of music that's coming out today that you like in general?
Same thing with, The Weeknd bringing that 80s feel back. I love those characteristics. I think it's cool. I think, no one's doing it. Those kind of attributes. I know it's gonna sound weird. I like sad music, man. It hits home for me. I won't go into my past or anything, but we've all been through some terrible stuff, but for some reason, to me, it's just like, I don't know, sad music really just makes me feel good. It just does. And, I wish there was a little more of it. And I'm not trying to like bring down the vibe or anything, but
no, I think, that there's something to be said for that. I mean, first of all, like there was that whole like late 2000s, early 2010s, like emo pop punk movement.
Right.
And I think one thing that really allows, like, and I think a lot of people probably notice this, but don't say it in this way, but listening to sad music doesn't have to make you sad.
Right.
It almost lets you like microdose sadness so that you can bring yourself to the middle more. Like you have to know that feeling. And when it's hard to like, because not a lot of people can communicate that.
Right.
A lot of people can emote that or like even understand it fully.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, when I was an angsty teenager, the Seosin album, the self-titled one.
The which one? I'm sorry.
Seosin. Yeah.
Not familiar.
You would know it if you saw it.
Okay.
They had the weirdest roller coaster of music, but they're finally coming back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But their music was really like, it was very deep. It was very emotional. Like there was no happy songs in this album. But like you could feel through the emotion of the song.
Yeah.
And that like let me like be like, oh, okay, like obviously like these are real feelings. Like, and when I finally did experience them, as teenagers and young 20s and things like that.
That's what they were talking about.
Like, when it finally happens, you're like, oh, I have somewhere to go
to. Yeah.
Like, now that
it hugs you.
I have this, I can bring back this familiar sound.
Right. Absolutely.
And it just like I get to understand it.
Yeah.
I could only appreciate it because it sounded cool, because the guitars were cool, the drums were cool, the like singing was good.
Yeah.
But now I get the lyric.
Yeah.
And it was there for you the whole time. Yeah. Like it's hard for me to understand, songs. Like it's hard for me to what's the word? Like it's hard for me to correlate with songs about, drug trafficking and boats and like strippers and a bunch of money. Like I don't have any of that. I don't have any boats.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, like when sad moments happen, it's nice to have
that
something
go to. Yeah.
Especially if like your support system isn't like people who are very good at understanding that either. This generation prior to us, that feelings, oh, you must need to go have a drink about it, or you must need to like not do that.
Yeah.
It was so pushed back for like a giant generation.
Right.
And so like I think that, it really it gives an outlet.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Like father figure of mine, he'd passed away when I was like really younger, and he left a CD behind, and I just threw it in my Walkman or Discman, and it was a Tupac album, and it was okay, like, what's this all about? And I was into like Nelly and Saint Lunatics and stuff, Ludacris, but Hail Mary came on. I was just like, what is this? Dude? And that from that moment on, I was like, whoa, like hip hop can get on some like weird dark stuff too. Like I loved it, and I held that song so dearly to me because it was passing my father figure passed on, and so it helped me a lot. And then that showed me Tupac's catalog, and I was just like, wow, this guy is saying some pretty wild stuff, and that nobody's talking about, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I mean he was really ahead of his time for a lot of the things he was doing. Like he's definitely been discussed on previous episodes for sure, so I won't dig into it too far. But like he was really, I think he was one of the early artists who was like, look, like we need to talk about real stuff.
Yeah.
Like there is an actuality in life that is being missed in the music right now. And so, he did talk on really like strong topics.
Very.
And not just all dark ones, but being respectful in certain points and like standing for what you believe in. Like there were all these
much universal, like everything.
He was making music for the concepts of mankind, not for the clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
for humans, like
exactly. Yeah,
crazy.
All right, now we've got one last question to go before we move into the next portion, which is all hypothetical questions.
All right.
I mean, we've already kind of led up to this just in the tone so far.
Awesome.
Because this is definitely the densest question in the interview. But, we talked about your actions, your reactions, your experience with music and things like that. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
It fills my heart. It generates my dreams. It tells me that you can do anything in the world through music by expressing yourself. I'm very comfortable who I am in my head and what my goals are, and those are the things that music has brought me. And all I want to do is just share good art with good people and, make people feel just a little bit better about life, even a little bit. It means the world to me, just like picking up that Hail Mary song, it just was there for me. And I want to do that visually. I want to do that musically. And I just want to just make the world a little bit better, man. That's it, really.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And, just because there won't be a lot of room for this in the hypothetical portion, what about visual art? Does it give you something different? Does it do the same? Like, what do you find fulfilling from that?
I'm able to escape this world and go somewhere else in my head and bring back a vision of things that I want to see, that I want to share with other humans. Because you look at something and it goes right into your brain. It's a projection. And when you make something beautiful visually, it creates like a comfort zone, comforting home in their head. So I want to do that, and I want to get a little frisky. Like painting. Anatomy. Women. I believe women are the most beautiful things on earth. So it's like, why not paint that? And if somebody wants to purchase a painting, and have it in their home, like, fuck yeah, like that's what I'm all about. But other things, storytelling. I don't only do female anatomy. I do a lot, but not the only thing. But yeah, creating characters that people can just relate with. And I came up on movies as a kid. Like, I love movies. So I just want to just hammer it down when it comes to the visions, as far as painting, and I want to hit them hard.
Yeah.
Angles, pyramids, just everything and anything that I feel in my mind that could help people out and, get them to see the world differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. Of course.
But
now, like I said, let's move on to some hypothetical questions.
Let's go.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. Okay. This first one's pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive, but it could be anybody. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
I would want to work with probably Rakim.
Okay.
I want to work with Rakim.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be the coolest ever. I mean, and how would I would love to just put him on a verse, maybe chorus.
Yeah.
I have multiples or just one?
Yeah, like if it had to be the one.
Rakim. Yeah, okay. For sure. Because of just he's the blueprint of how everyone raps. Basically, I mean, he was the one that kind of took the silly '80s, hey, everybody,
Yeah.
it's just beautiful. I love that stuff too. I play that stuff all the time. But he, whoa, dude's coming hard. Dude, just going raw. And he's writing some pretty, his style, his flow, unheard of. People are just like, whoa, this is absolutely bonkers. So I appreciate that innovation, that, like, where did you even,
like
that from?
Just to be a fly on the wall, even would be such an experience, just to like watch the process happen.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'd love to. And I've seen him live and shook his hand, and
hell yeah,
he's so nice.
Such a good guy. I love that. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Oh, local. I would really like to work with. Oh, might have to give me a second.
No, you're good.
I'm gonna go with. Mike Capes.
Okay, interesting.
Capes.
Hell yeah.
Sure. He's just a staple in the community.
Yeah.
He expresses himself beautifully. His wordplay, his flows, his choice of beats, just inspiring and extremely. I've always looked up to him as far as with his work, and just always seems like a solid dude, and I love that, So yeah, Mike Caves. I'd love to work with Mike Caves.
Oh yeah. Well, everybody know what to do. Add him in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
That'd be sick.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. It would work in this scenario. Where would you want to perform?
Anywhere. Shoot. Top of a pyramid, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Travis is like, Travis Scott is like performing over there. Want to perform on top of it? No. Probably like Italy or something like that. Like it's Celestine. It's not Celestine. My bad. Sistine Chapel. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
That'd be the ultimate show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
My paintings up in there. Bring some paint. Yeah, I'd want to perform at the Sistine Chapel.
Hell yeah.
That would be sick.
Yeah. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday, who would you want an album from?
I would say Pac, but he's said so much, and so I want an MF Doom album.
Yeah.
One more, man.
Yeah.
One more.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes me sad.
Yeah.
But it would be awesome to have one more MF Doom album.
No, I fully agree. I wish more people said that answer too, because I as you saw the art out there, I'm definitely a fan as well.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy how he passed.
I know. And how we all found out at first of all, how he died on Halloween.
Yeah.
And then we found out on New Year's.
Yeah.
Somehow landed 2 iconic days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He figured out how to incredibly kept it, it was kept a secret that long. That just really, I think, says something to the community.
Right.
Because that's something that if it had been anybody else would have been leaked first minute.
Right.
But the respect for Doom and the respect for the family and things like that, they were nah, this is.
It's almost perfect for who he was, his, whole story, and man, that poor guy, man.
Yeah.
But amazing artist to push through all that.
Phenomenal. And we have so much of his work, and I guarantee you there's something out there that we probably just don't it's already out. But he had so many names, he had so many things. He may have something just waiting that he's hey, by the way, this was me the whole time. Came out, I had a thing. I had a thing on a timer that was going to tell y'all 2025
on some Banksy stuff.
Yeah, it just we don't know how much of his music is even actually out there. So that's hopeless romantic in that respect. Maybe we'll find one that we were like, oh, damn.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
It was cool seeing him work with like Griselda, and that was cool.
I mean, he worked with so many people. I mean, I'm a big fan of Czarface, and like get multiple collaboration albums with him. I own like 3 different versions of Super What, just because I wanted to have just like the different colorways on record, and just like cool. Or not Super What. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of their. I'm the worst with names. But like there's just like. What a talented man. What a great answer.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Alrighty.
What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and October?
So I have a show coming up May 30th.
Okay.
And it's going to be featuring Veda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's this artist from Atlanta, I believe. And she's been, I believe, nominated for some really, really up there awards, best new artist, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, my good friend K Penn's throwing the show at the Aura May 30th.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it's going to be awesome. Me and my friend Raidski are going to be sharing a set. And we're excited.
No, that sounds
very excited.
Yeah, I dig that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody put May 30th on your calendar. That'll be dope. And then for this next one, go and look straight at the camera and tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me in the club. No. You can find me on YouTube, Edward Bernier V. Spotify, Edward Bernier. And Instagram, Edward Bernier V. And Facebook, Edward Bernier. What else? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it'll all be on the screen and stuff like that. As well as, click the links below. It's all in the description.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. Now, any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Shout out Damon Smith Art, SMYTH. Check him out. He, is the one that showed me the ropes when it came to paintings, and he does murals around the city. I've helped him on a couple murals, large scale. So shout out Damon Smith. You the man, bro. Appreciate you. Shout out my good homie Raidski. He's been my, crime fighting partner when it comes to making music now. And it's just been awesome writing with him and producing music with him and making beats and just all that. We've been just doing shows together, and it's been awesome. Shout out to, one of my fallen friends that just passed away, King Laz. He was the one that got me into doing music. He's the one that brought the computer over, and love you, man. You changed my life. I know you told me to stop saying that to you, but you did. And and shout out to all the artists in Portland, man. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for just, expressing yourselves and just killing it, and just go harder, keep killing it. Don't stop.
Oh, yeah.
More art.
Yes, please. All right. With that being said, we've got one last question to go.
Oh, let's get it.
But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Alrighty.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. Guarantee you're going to like it. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side of things? So it's a deep cut. It's not something a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should go listen to.
Food. I think it's...
Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's just the way how obscure it is, how the skits are just like 1970s cartoons of Marvel, and how he places himself in the Doom moniker, and it's like a comic.
Yeah.
It's so artsy, and it's just a masterpiece. And yeah, that album, if you haven't heard it, what are you doing?
Yeah, definitely one that's on the need to know list.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Food.
Food. Yeah.
That's such a great name.
Yeah.
It's like a big F you, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for doing this for other artists. We We appreciate you so much.
Always happy to. Now, that being said, this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's JamBox. I'm Jimmy.
Edward Bernier, more art.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.